Celery, well, it's really a grass stock rearing farm, and it is a good grass farm, but doesn't lend itself very easily to arable crops. But we try to grow sufficient for our own use. Well, I'm John Durden, I'm 71 now, and I've worked full time with the horses since I was 15. Celery, it means quiet corner, and it's 200 acres. I'm still talking acres instead of hectares, but it's roughly around about 200 acres. We have 8 acres of turnips, mangel, and just a few drills of potatoes for ourselves. We'll have 40 acres of hay, and the rest is pasture. Myself, I don't like outlying cattle, but a nice dry frosty morning like this, quite honestly, they're taking no harm out. It's when it comes clashy, windy, wet weather that they take the harm. And actually the land takes more harm than the cattle because they plunge it that bad, and land's too scarce and too dear these days to have wasted with being plunged to bits with outlying cattle. I'm delighted that David's taken to the horses, and apart from taking to the horses, I mean, he can handle them, he can manage them. Oh, he started to court Francis' daughter, that's how we came to be here. Him and Francis have been married 12 years now.
I came up to some relatives who lived in Langley and used to go to the chapel with them, and that's how I met Francis. And shortly after I came up here, so that's how it all started. And then with being in a farming background, as I was courting Francis, it was a case of I was coming to help with the hay and whatever else as well. And it's just progressed from there. Francis is heavily involved with the day-to-day running of the farm, feeding sheep and looking sheep, things like that. And Richard is getting to the age where we can now send him to the top of the field, the lambing field, if we think there's a yow on lambing. And he'll look and see. He's not quite at the stage where he can bring her in yet, but he can come back and tell us. It saves us a journey to the top of the field every time. He has a small Shetland pony, and he would like to work with the heavy horses, but time will tell. The opportunity is there for him if he wishes to take it up.
I was always brought up that the fields should be mucked every 3rd year. Well, generally to within an acre or two either way. We muck about 20 acres a year. Norman Barber. Why, he's not really working for us, he just comes to fill his time in. He would work on the farms as a young chap, and then he went onto the wagon driving. And after he retired, I think he found it a hard job filling his time in. And then he just kept coming to fill his time in, and then I had that trouble with angina, and I had a bit of a heart attack, and so he stopped, and he was a grand helped out, and he's just more or less kept coming, well, whenever he felt like it. There's 2 load out of the buyers every day. Generally put them 5 yards either way. 5 yards between the rows and 5 yards between each heap. And I don't know what other people used to do. There's nobody who'll spread by hand now, but I used to reckon 40 heaps an hour. And I could almost set a watch by it. I used to many times have them mucked up before breakfast when I was on myself. Get up at 4:30 in the morning and I had them all mucked out before 8 o'clock. No wonder I took a heart attack. Jock, he's 13 years old. I bought him for £170 privately. He's a little bit undersized, but he's big enough for farm work. Chuck's the one with the white splash up the hip. And he's a nice stamp of a little horse. The next one is Dick. He's 8 years old now. Time flies. Come on, Davy. And then Davy. He's a full brother to Dick. He's 7-year-old. He was 325 actually, but there was some harness and an old cart thrown in for luck. And then Sandy, he was bought at Wigton. And because if you're walking them in winter time, of course, they have to stop in at nights. You can't turn them out because they're sweating.
Now, Davy's my favourite, partially because of his name, but he's the one that I've done the most with, and he can be a bit temporary. But no, I like Davy. He gets on with the work, but also when and if you need him to stop in a hurry, he does.
Of course, we don't show our horses now. They've never been showed for about 30 years. But we have this horse which we're keeping for this chap from Holy Island. And he gets footsore of his front feet when, if he does over much work on the hard road, so we have to keep his front feet showed. Simon Heslop, he's a young chap. He served his time with Beatties of Hexham.
Come on.
And he's an exceptionally good farrier. And rather than take a shop, a blacksmith shop, he just has a van and he goes around. He gets a tremendous lot of trade, more than he can really deal with.
Work horses on this farm are more easier to manage and a lot easier to work with. They're not pets, they're big, strong animals. So sometimes you can have a bit of fun with them. But hard work, work keeps them quiet. No, it all depends on the chap or the person that's holding it. He does make sure that I'm safe and can't get hurt. You put your risk in him type thing. They're a lot harder to do than, say, pony or hunter or something like this. Basically, it's the same. You've got to keep the feet nice and level and square.
Well, because our horses don't do a lot of road work, the hoof is growing enough to protect it all the time. So they don't get footsore. Footsore is when they lose too much hoof from around the edge. The stones and everything start touching the inside of the hoof and it makes them sore. Whereas with them being on soft ground most of the time, they have plenty of hoof to protect the foot.
Oh, no pain whatsoever. The wick of the foot runs up the foot, and they get the nails going up the outside and the outside of what's called the wick. And we had an old blacksmith years ago who used to do a show, and a chap called Jimmy Armstrong. But he used to have the nails right up the foot, and he could get the shoes to step on. But Simon can get them, he's a good hand at getting them to step on as well.
It's just a joy to work with them because they're so easy and so well behaved. John has worked with horses all his life. He always looks for a good stamp of horse, good feet, strong boned. You know you're safe. So it's a pleasure to come and work here.
Sure, one of the wettest days ever I've been noticing. Terrible for the poor man that's selling out. Terrible. But really speaking, when it's been advertised and that, it has to go on. A sale's never the same if it's put off. And, I mean, a lot of folks will be saying they're not wise for being here amongst all the rain, but at the same time they still wouldn't miss it, you know.
I think the weather keeps the townsfolk away. It's only the daft farmers come out when it's like this. So mainly farmers, but some of them do have an enormous interest in their past. And so they're a mixture of farmers and collectors. Some really interesting folk. And of course there's the old farmers who come around and reminisce when you buy something and says, you know, that was Colgraves from the big market in Newcastle. And so you get a lot of history that comes with some of the farmers.
What a bale carrier, porter beer. But the trouble with me is they'll only carry bales. You can't put bags up with them, of course. You see, there's spikes there. Oh, that's the greatest thing. Would come to a farm sale, seeing people to talk to and friends. Yes.
Richard likes to go, my son, and also Norman Barber, who helps us out sometimes. And John, of course, comes.
Well, there's a big blade there, Norman.
It's a good day out. Gives you a chance to look around the countryside and see how other people have been doing things.
Yeah, man. What a flaming day.
And also, especially if there's horse implements there, it gives you a chance of comparing and trying to find things that you require.
But what I can understand, you see, this has been a new body made. This is not a real body, you know. That's been blacksmith made, that body.
Yeah.
You see? No, the moldboard was the best part about it. You never know what there'll be in the machinery line. We could do with a good chain harrow. We've been fettling an old one up, but there may be a good chain harrow there. I'll make somebody pay for it if there's a good one. And I see there's a plough advertised, but we have plenty of ploughs really. But I wouldn't see it given away, you know.
£30, 13 bit, 30 pound, 13 bit, 30 pound, 30 pound, 13 bit, 30 pound, 13 bit, 45 bit, 5 bit, lose it, then 45, 5 bit, 5 bit, 5 bit, 5 bit, 5 bit, 5 bit, 70 bit, 70 pound, 17 bit, 5.
We have plenty of machinery for our job, but we never have to miss a chance, you see, when there's old machinery for the horses. And we're just here to pick up anything that we think will be of use to us, either now or in the future. Well, the collectors make it harder, because some of these collectors, they seem to have more money than me.
You just bid to what it's worth and stick there. And so I was very pleased to get what I got, which was a Ransom's horse plough. So that'll keep us going, actually using it for another 4 or 5 years at least anyway.
5 bit, 5 bit, 5 pound, 5 bit, 5, 5 pound, 5 bit, 6, 6 pound, 7, 8, 8 pound.
So I greatly admire the way John is going, but we all have the same problems now with spare bits for ploughs. And so I'll have to keep an eye open and find a cheaper one for John somewhere else perhaps.
17 pound, 17 bit, 17, don't sell your race, 17. That works out. All the harness.
The
whole lot together then.
There's some harness, but most likely it'll not be worth buying. There's such a lot of the harness, you know, when you get a hold of it, the stitching's rotten. By Joe, go to these saddlers and it's about a pound a stitch, I think.
4 bit, 5, 4 bit, 4 bit, 4 bit, 4 pound bit, 4 bit, 4 black, 4 now the horse, pound, where's Judith gone?
There was one or two things I just put up to a price, and Because as I say, we are never really tied because we have plenty at home and we just bid them up to what we think they're worth. But it's a terrible day for the man who's selling up. But he seems they're getting pretty good prices. We've got a few things that'll be very useful. Yes. And I've got some Harris today, which I'm very pleased with. They were fairly cheap. They were 85 at bit. They're 400 new. I'm not cold, I'm wet. But it's been a terrible day. However, can it be put up? It has to carry on, no matter what the weather is. What a day for a seal.
What is it doing now?
Pour water.
Get away.
There's been all afternoon. I bought some little things off the trailer, augers and such like. But anything I wanted, as soon as I start to bathe, it's what somebody else wants them. Aye. And then what was the next thing? Oh, I got a little weighing machine. And £5 wages for it, and it seems pretty accurate. And then there was a chain harrod. I was determined I'll make somebody pay for it.
How much did you pay for that?
85. I was going to put it to 100 and then give over. And then there was some zigzag Harris, corn Harris. Well, I didn't want them. So I gave them a pound weight and got them, and I mean, they're good Harris, they're not like as if they were rubbish. So they were really for nothing, like. But there was a potato digger I've been thinking on since it just made £5. Well, I mean, if it was to buy new, it would be hundreds. It was very cheap, but there again, anything you don't want's never cheap. Oh, and we've got some harness.
Surprise.
It's surprising, you know how rubbish harness it got a bid.
I'm sure.
I used to sit out of the stable till young time cleaning harness and that. But I'm afraid the harness that we're using every day now doesn't get much clean. It should get more oil, like.
I was going to say, you want to get on.
Oh, aye. But there's only 24 hours of a day, like.
Yes, when my father was a horseman, well, he was brought up with horses. Well, I'm married to somebody that has horses, I don't know. Funny, horses always seem to play a big part in my life. One day when they were leading bales out of this field here down to Sutterby, they wanted me to take a load down, and they would take the last load and get the field finished. And I was going along that field and I was fair petrified. I knocked the only heap of bales down that was in the field. There was all the field I could have turned in, but I hit the heap of bales. And they've never letting us live it down. You seem to have too many feet and legs to me. And I think in a way it helped him after he had his heart attack, you know. He would go out with a horse and he was talking to the horse and taking his mind off his own. It's lovely really, because quite frankly the horses all know him and he talks to them as though they were his best friends, but maybe they are like.
Oh, horse breakers, they all have different ideas, and some say they're best straight off the fells and never been touched, and then you have all the fight over at the beginning and it seems to get all the fight out of them. But myself, I like to handle them, and these ones, every morning when I come around the cattle to see the cattle, they come for a little bit clap and a little bit pet, and it pays to slip the halters onto them every once in a while and they don't forget. But everybody has different ideas, but myself, I like them to be well handled. It saves a lot of bother and hassle when you start to break them. Young horses, I mean, they take a bit special handling, of course. I mean, breaking them in, that's just the first job. For the next 2 years, they have to be schooled.
Wait a minute, what's that? Seeking ye shall find. Now then, we'll get on.
By and large, they have to be about 5 years old before we can, what we can call them maid horses or state horses. The first 2 years after they're broken in, they still need careful handling.
It's primarily getting the horses used to whatever you want them to do. Be it, first of all, the harness, being handled, the noise of the harness, the feel of the harness, and then on to chains, shafts. Everything will feel different to the horse, and you've got to know how to do it in a safe way, both for yourself and for the horse.
Why, Sandy, obviously by the colour, he's the first strawberry roan we've ever had. He's 2.5 now, coming up to 3, and hopefully he'll turn out all right. He's shaping up very well, actually.
We take them out onto the roads so they get used to traffic and other noises, be it a cock pheasant jumping over the dyke or something like that. We have them on what we call the muzzle roll, which is a leather strap right round his nose. So we have good control of him.
It's getting more and more difficult taking them on the road, and that there's not the courtesy now shown on the roads that there used to be for horses. You see, I think a lot of drivers, they're just used to either brewery horses in the town or riding school ponies or something like that. They don't seem to realise that you've got a young horse on the road. And it is important that you get them used to the traffic before you get them yoked and such like.
The phrase gentle giants is a bit overused and sometimes misused. They can be gentle, but if you've got a fiery horse, you've got to be careful. And yes, some are fair giants, but handled correctly and with care, you're all right. But they're not as quiet as some people think. A lot of people feel that ploughing is the primary job for the horses, but here they have to do everything. I enjoy ploughing. It's very pleasant. You hear nature around you, and you can see what you've done in the day. Especially if you've got a nice true furrow and a nice finish at the end of the day. Davy is pulling keen. He's pulling harder than Dick. And when he's doing that, you move your buck across towards the keen horse. And that evens the plough out. If I didn't, the plough would ride up onto the unploughed land and you would be left with a strip unploughed. Come on then, lads. Dick, Dave. Hi, Davy. The lads. Yep. I learned to plough by watching John. If the plough wasn't going quite right, I would say sort of whatever it was to John. It wasn't turning the furrow over correctly or something. And he would come and put the plough right. And just by watching him and learning through experience, it's the primary ways I've learned how to plough. You need a fairly true eye.
Right, that'll do it. I'll have to go back and measure the next one.
Oh, aye, the horses have never stopped. Even before I left school, I couldn't get left school quick enough to walk with the horses. It's just something that's been bred in us, I think. Just the way I'm made. And I've always, well, it's been my life to walk with the horses. Obviously, we have to make our bread and butter with the sheep and the cattle. But walking with the horses has always been my favourite job on the farm. At one time it was a nice living 200 acres, but unfortunately farms are having to get bigger and bigger. This is one of the reasons why we keep the horses. I don't think they're any cheaper to run, if you can call horses running costs. I don't think the running costs would be any cheaper than the tractor, but capital-wise they're much cheaper.
Come on then, old boy.
There's not the men that or women that work on the farms now, so machines have had to take over. But machines are good, and especially the modern tractor machines. A lot of folks think that I wouldn't look at a tractor. That's silly, that. I mean, the tractor machines are very good, and they're getting better all the time. But it's what the farm can maintain. I mean, on 200 acres of our type of land, there's a lot of machines would just, they wouldn't be feasible. And this is causing a lot of bother now on farms. They're overcapitalised, if that's the right way to put it. And I mean, naturally the horses do the job slower, but as long as you get the job done on time, that's what I always say.
They are slower, definitely. But having said that, we get all the jobs done in season. So do we need to go any faster? We couldn't convert, financially we couldn't convert now. But that's not the reason I keep on with the horses. I think it's just a all-round enjoyment. Closer to nature, I suppose, is one way of putting it.
It's the best job there is. Nice and peaceful, quiet. And they sometimes have a bit problem with this horse, like he's kind of temperamental a bit now and again, but other than that, everything's all right. You know, yeah. It's far better than the new stuff, I think. In fact, I didn't think I could drive a tractor now. No. I used to, you know, one time when I was young, but I didn't think I could bother now. One. This horse, he used to pull a bus on Hurley Island at one time. And I think he'll have been used for going very fast up the hills for the, you know, for to pull the bus. But other than that, like, you know, they're all right. You know, you just get used to walking around with them and everything, like. They bother them. Come on, let's say with that.
Norman is spreading or sowing fertiliser. We have two fertiliser drills. Some call them fertiliser barrows, but we always call them drills. One is for powdered stuff, it's an old slag drill, and the one that Norman's using is better for granulated manure. And I got it was only £11, and it's a grand machine. It sows very evenly, And as the saucers go around, there's a long shaft with like little fingers there, and they spin around and around and knock it off the saucers. And yeah, for the thicker or thinner, you alter the feed onto the saucers. If you want to sew it a bit thicker, you open it out a bit, and well, naturally it comes onto saucers quicker. You can go over a lot of ground. It's surprising how much you can do in a day with it.
Never as long as I can remember have we ever walked on the Sundays apart from the necessary. But I must admit, this last 4 or 5 years, we have walked amongst the hay or the harvest on a Sunday. My theory is you'd better be walking amongst it than sitting wishing that you were. It's never been any problem to me, spreading muck. There seems to be a stigma to many will walk these days, but I've always got a lot of pleasure out to doing many will walk. Means 6 days shelter labour. But as I say, I can see no harm doing necessary work on a Sunday at all. Near enough. I cannot help thinking there's a lot of unnecessary work done on a Sunday. In fact, I sometimes do unnecessary work myself. Inside where nobody sees. So I think that's as big a sin as working outside.
So it's down to grapefruit for him.
Grapefruit. Mine, I must say, I feel a lot better with life, but I'm always hungry. Well, them grass seeds were sort of coming good. My wife, called her Maggie, she was Maggie Hall. Lived in Langley all her life. Her father was had the horses and wood wagons at Langley sawmill. And she was born across at the sawmill, and we got married in, I'll let me get this right, 1954.
When you marry a farmer, when you marry the farm, that's it. Always thought he would have horses as long as he was able to get them, because he used to breed them, you see, once over. And as long as he was able, he couldn't seem to do anything else. He's happy in his work and you never think anything about it.
Maggie and I have never had a holiday away from home since we were married. But I think this will be pretty general with most of family farms, because there always has to be someone about to do the work. I've broken quite a few horses in now, and I think there was only one that never had a fight. And the great thing is to get the fight out on them when you're breaking them in, not after you've got them yoked. Why, Sandy, he's 2.5 now, coming up to 3. He's full of spirit and he's full of life, but that's nothing. He hasn't shown any bad yet. Hopefully he'll turn out all right. He's shaping up, whoa, he's shaping up very well, actually. Whoa, man, you're all right. He must think you have something for him in that camera, I think. Whoa, stand still. Stand still now.
Launching is really 2 things. One is to get them obedient. You trot them around and they have to stop when you tell them to stop. And it all gradually comes to them. The other thing is you can always tire them out. It's a long way, if a horse is getting a bit above itself, it's a long way easier tiring them out, letting them trot around and around and around, and you just stand in the middle. And also it's good for getting them used to the cart harness and such like, and trot them around about while they get used to the jingle and the noise.
Stop it now. They're really creatures of habit, and as long as they get away doing a job right,
they'll be like that all their lives. But if they do a job wrong, well, you can be absolutely certain it'll go out the next day and make the same mistake unless you're there to correct it. I was waving the cap for two reasons. One was to hurry him on a little bit, and the other was to get him learned to anything blown up in the air or anything. Any funny thing or anything out the ordinary, try and do to get them used to it. Well, this is what we call the braking harness. We always call this the muzzroll, but I believe its real name is the caverston. You'll see it has metal around, and it's before they get a mouth onto them. The metal comes down the side of the face and you have more overhands over them. You can pull them around with it. And this is the bit, and it has keys on, you see, which go into the mouth, and they tickle him and tickle his tongue and that and make him work it. I don't know how to explain putting a mouth onto them. The greatest thing about a horse is getting a good mouth. That's a tender mouth. And it sounds a little bit Irish, but the secret is to get the mouth hardened up and still keep it tender. Never bleed the mouth, because it's just like a blush on your hand every time it heals up. Well, it heals up thicker and tougher. And if you skin the mouth when you're breaking them in, well, they'll have a tough mouth and you haven't the overhands over them. The secret is to get them used to the bit and have a tender, free working mouth on them. He was full of fight, but that's the way they should be. Get all the fight out on them at the start. Now he's taking the lunge and he's ready for going on farther now. Get up. They're chain harrows, and both of them are getting pretty much the worse they were. We're trying to make one out of two. It might be hardly worth the bother, like, if we're counting to a time. So we're trying to mend this one with this one. And it may last, it's a pretty hopeless task, but it may last another year or two until we find another chain harrow. The chain harrow, well, it's for several jobs. On the pastures, it pulls any moss out that's collected, or if there's been any cattle lying out for the winter, well, it levels everything out. Or it's a good harrow for the grass, and we use it on the tillage land to harrow the grass seeds in, because the grass seeds don't want to be in very deep, so we just use the chain harrow. They're also good for levelling the mole heaps out in a hayfield, but I always say it's better to catch the moles than have to level them out with a chain harrowing. It's pretty hard stuff for the hacksaw. We're going to go through a few hacksaw blades, I can see that. David has a grinder which would have cut this through in half the time, but being as we're inside in the hay shed, well, we daren't use the grinder. We don't want to set the place up in flames.
Personally, I enjoy working on machines and trying to get them going again. Ones we've got from somewhere and are all rusted up, setting them away and making them functional again.
See, just take a whole strip off. Oh, look at that place in the middle. See, these patching jobs, they never end up as easy as you think they will. They always turn into a bigger job than you expect.
That's it, that's a good position. Look, where would you be looking forward or?
You'd be looking forward.
We've come to see David and to see John Dodds. One, to get the sort of reference pictures of using the equipment, the horse-drawn mower, the Tedder Turner machine, the rake and the bogey, to do a series of hay mowing scenes, hay collecting scenes, but we will come back, and this is like a 2-year program for us, and we'll gradually build up the reference pictures and the information about what is going on, the type of equipment. 5 figurines in total, all limited edition, and as I say, it's a 2.5 year program.
Just making sure we have all the right equipment on it as it would be. There's so slight variations of them as they were made, so we have to make sure in the time that we're making them that they are what they should be. Yeah. Interesting.
Personally, I like the Board of Fine Art sculptors, so it's very interesting to have them come to us and make a sculpture of something that we're doing. We're about the only people that have the implements and still use them. It's flattering in that they do want to come and see us.
Silly Farm, the only farm I know where he still works horses. We've found locations where we can go and find the equipment, but for us it's the important part is getting the horse in there and getting someone to actually work the equipment and talk about what they do and to see what they do when they're using the equipment. And someone like Alec here today who's come down, he's advising us and pointing out the differences.
Tell me something, is that the original seat? Because
as far as we know, yes.
It doesn't have the, you know, they used to have the name on it.
Yes, that's why we think it's such a modern one, because it hasn't got... We think that will be the original seat. We bought it at a farm sale.
Yes.
Yes, we're ready for the off, are we? Let's get going, these things. One of those things where you want to keep out of the way of the equipment, don't you? They've both been dropped by... We're throwing it off that way, okay? That long, yes.
Ray, who is the master sculptor, and showed us some white models, which are the first models they make out of a soft clay. We felt the horse was facing the wrong way. It was facing away from the grass, whereas we felt it would more naturally have been facing towards the uncut grass because it would be trying to eat some.
Yeah.
Just little comments like that have helped to get the perfection that they require.
Dan, so the only piece that we've got to worry about is this section here sitting up above the hay, because that's obviously all going to be filled with hay as it goes along. This is like day one. There's no point in trying to make something which, yes, making one off is all right. We've got to manufacture a number of them, and we've therefore got to sometimes compromise on the accuracy to make it so as you can actually ship the thing to a customer in a box, and so as it doesn't all collapse on them. And also we don't want to make it so as it's so expensive that it becomes elite. We want to make it accessible to people.
This is spring barley, and the reason for the coloration is to show that it's been dressed against certain diseases. We'll be putting somewhere between 14 and 16 stone on, which is actually a large seeding. Normally you would just be putting 10 or 12, but we always feel that to put a heavier seeding on means that we should ensure a good crop.
The old chaps used to pick a handful of soil up and nip it in the hand, and if it stuck together in a ball it wasn't fit to sew, but if it fell apart it was. I don't think it would fall apart today, but the thing is the forecast's not good, and the time of year's getting on. We haven't got it sown quite as early as we would like, because we have to wait till the sheep eating the turnips off. So we haven't time to wait. We want to sow the corn, and then we'll go over it once with the harrows after it is sown. So and you sow about 5 yards a time out, so that's roughly about 6 times around. You'll be sown crossover,
yes.
Aye. That's roughly about 6 times around to a bag.
That's right.
So you'll see whether you had to put it thicker or thinner.
Right, we'll get on. Go on the dig back again. Come on, lads, both together. I'm not sure what distance he'll cover behind the corn drill, but behind the plough they reckon between 10 and 12 miles to the acre. You don't really have time to think of anything other than concentrating on keeping the drill straight, following your marks, and making sure that the seed's running to each disc. It's become a realisation that's hardly unique, but there's not so many now that do use the horses. There's a lot of hobby horses used for showing and ploughing matches, but there's not so many that are actually worked on a viable farm. It's Dick, which is the right-hand horse, and Davy, the left-hand horse. They're full brothers. They'll be 6 and 7 year old, and they were fit to start with, and they've settled grand, so I'll have no more problems for the rest of the day now.
Whoa. Well, the mowing machine is one of the biggest trials for a young horse. For one thing, it's the first time it's been put into a pool. For another, it's a noisy thing. And really speaking, I sometimes think it's a bigger trial to them than putting them into the cart, really. Whoa. Sandy's been walking all day, so he's reasonably tired. I'm just going to rattle him around the yard a time or two to give him the feel of it. Because a horse, really, it's a thing of habit, and if it gets started away right, it's generally all right. But up till now, he's the quietest horse I've ever had anything to do with, and it'll be a surprise if he does anything wrong. But at the same time, you never know. It's just one of those things you have to take. It has to be done, so I might as well have him in now. Some horse breakers like them out in the middle of the field, they say, where they can't get faster, do any damage. But I read a book by the late Roy Charlton, A Lifetime of Ponies, and he said whenever he broke one in, he always kept it in a yard or in a confined space, because there was far less chance of it doing anything when it was surrounded by buildings and walls and such like. And since then I've always taken his advice. Touch wood, up till now it's worked. And just for the first time, you know. And we're lucky here, we have a big yard where we can rattle them around in. The old days when everybody used horses, it was always a worry when anybody had bought a new horse and that, would it go all right in the mowing machine? And there's quite a few didn't go in the mowing machine. You see, it's not like anything else. If they stop, why the thing chucks. And then you get the reaper pulled back and you get it cleared off. And then if you have a daft horse, it'll go off a jump before you're ready, chuck the thing again. Come on, Sandy, get up. I don't know how many horses we'll have had here. Must have had 30 anyway, if not 40. And there's only been 2 that I was bet with that I couldn't get away in the mowing machine. I've seen them. I put one in one night. It was like a rodeo. It was walking with its hind legs and buck jumping and all things. And yet when it settled down, it made a grand horse. Once it settled down. Of course, Sandy has to cut in the field yet, but when he's gone off the first time like that and got the feel of the reaper, I'll be very disappointed if he's any more bother. He's a marvellous young horse altogether. He just has the cart and the roller now. He would be a little bit nervous, you know. But in a fresh job, I noticed once when the pole touched, the first time the pole touched his leg, he gave a little bit jump and switched his tail, but I mean, that's nothing. When we're ready to start and cut grass with him, we'll do a little bit job on the tillage, and then we'll come and we'll give him a few times around here again, and then straight away to the field, start to cut. Hopefully. We're just gathering the stones up before we cut it with a machine, because it would smash the machine, the quantity of stones. But it's like a lot of jobs, we've been wanting to be to it sooner than we are. We should have been here about 3 weeks ago before the grass got so long. It's 2 years ago since we sowed it with grass seeds, and we got it rotavated. And by the rotavator, I just now bring the stones out. We did hope that these small stones would have rolled in with the roller, but they haven't done. So unfortunately there's no other way we'd pick them. It's a horrible job, but there'll be a lot of satisfaction once it's finished. It's surprising the chaps that I do meet and people that do come. There was a professor from Newcastle University came one day to see us. Very nice chap and very interesting to talk to.
Working a farm like this completely with horses, or virtually completely with horses, hiring in the odd contractor from time to time, that is unusual. How unusual it'll be in the future is, I think, a bit hard to predict. I mean, it's a glorious part of the world, isn't it? Plenty of people would give their hind legs to live here. But most of us have rather higher aspirations of what we want to do with our life. We want to drive newer cars and have the new televisions and all the new gear in the houses and take holidays from time to time. I was asking John when the last time he had a holiday was, and when do you think it was? When he got married. He's had the odd day off the farm since then, but otherwise he's never been away on holiday. Well, I'm afraid there are not too many people around now who enjoy their work and enjoy their life as much as he obviously does, to be willing to put up with that. How much hay do you make?
This year, well, we haven't as much this year. Let me say there's 5, 18, 23 and 6, 29 and 13, 32, 42 acres this year.
Right, so will that be enough?
Hopefully. I've never been that interested in showing, really. There's a lot of different things for the Clydesdale horses. There's the breeding.
Yes.
And there's the showing.
Yeah.
And but I've always been content just to work at home with them.
Just to work them. You never got into the breeding of them?
We used to breed them. My father used to breed them. He used to have 1 or 2 foals every year.
Right.
But I found I could buy them cheaper.
Right.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
They're in the fortunate position that the farm is their own to do with virtually as they please. They don't have the overhead of a mortgage sitting on top of them because they choose to farm the way they do. They don't have a massive investment in machinery and equipment. They're getting it at relatively cheap prices from farm sales. They don't have to worry about investing in new equipment and new tractors and so forth. And their labour is their own, so that they get out of it what they put into it. And it's damned hard work, but so long as you enjoy the work, and they obviously do, you can still just about make a living.
But a lot of the implements we use are sort of 60 and 70 years old, and you just cannot buy replacements. You've got to go to farm sales and hope you can pick them up there.
£15 bid at £15, 15 bid, £15, 15, Smith 1.
Well, it was advertised in the papers to have a lot of old machinery there. And bygones, that's the way they word it. Bygones. We never have to miss a chance, and sometimes you can pick an old machine up for very little money that has some good spare parts on it. Well, you know, that's properly seized up as well. I mean, but we've got a good tatty digger now. Yeah. And it's, but them cogs are good.
Yeah, I think we're right. Oh wait, smashed through. Broken here. You wouldn't dare use it.
Why no? I understand the old chap had been a bit of an inventor, and he'd got these old machines collected together, and he'd invented one or two bits of things, I think. As far as I know.
He's been trying to dig a drain with that, has he not?
Fiver again.
Yes.
£5 bid, £5, at 5, 5 bid, at 5, at 5 bid, £5, holding at 8, 10, 12, 15, 18, 18 bid, 18, John Dodd, 18.
We tried to set a figure in our minds before we actually start bidding. Because of other trades, we're having to pay more and more for the things we require.
Quite honestly, as far as we were concerned, it was just a lot of rubbish. But obviously, there'd been some of the stuff had been worth money to some with the prices it was making.
Lot 453, the Oliver tractor was selling.
And some of the old tractors, well, I believe one of them made more money than what he paid for it when it was new.
At 2,800. At 2,800 we're all finished, and at 2,008. Hindmarsh 2,800.
As far as we were concerned, there was nothing that was just... I mean, any horse machinery, well, it was past it. There was a cattle crush. It looked in terrible condition, but after I got a look at it, I thought, well, it was better than it looked. And I got it for £10.
That would fettle up without too much bother.
Yeah, it had some more fresh wood on.
Fresh wood on.
And plenty of rust.
Rust over. Because these bottom corners, they would need welding.
You would need welding up again.
But you could make something of that.
Well, that's right.
Never mind.
I mean, the cattle crushes now cost hundreds of pounds. Do you know what it'll cost to put that one right, like, but never mind. £10, it's kind of break the bank, you would think. Oh, well, it's a great shame when things have to come to this pass. Because it'll have been a nice little farm at one time. Well, not so little, I believe it's been about 200 acres, that's as big as ours. But, I mean, you shouldn't criticise. The old chap is dead now, and no doubt the work's got on top of him and such like, and it's gone back. I have to be very careful I don't get into the same rut myself. I mean, people keep these old machines and that, and well, I mean, the rust just gets the better of them. Oh, they were definitely a bargain. Rope's very expensive. They'll be used for years. You think you bought them cheap till you come to get them home. You say, we haven't got a wagon. Well, we should have a trailer for putting either on the back of the car or on the back of David's pickup, because it sometimes costs more, if you're not careful, sometimes costs more to get them home than what it costs to buy the things. You can either drill straight or you cannot. And I've always been able to keep, well, maybe not straight, but I've always been able to keep reasonably straight. And there's a marker on the side of the plough which you turn over at each end. But it's no use following the mark because it'll always have a little bit waver.
Oh, no. Sandy.
You never look back. Always look through between the horses' heads. sometimes you have to be a little bit to one side the mark and sometimes to the other. And if you're not straightening up all the time, you're sharp in trouble. And but oh, it's a grand job. It's one of my favourite jobs, raising drills.
Norman's been sowing the fertiliser, and David's scrubbing. Some call it clod crushing. We always call it scrubbing, but it doesn't matter. It's breaking any clods down that there are. It's been stirred. That's ploughed the second time, and I think this will be the third time it's been scrubbed. It's relatively new, that actually. I got it made at the sawmills down at Hexham, Martin Jackson, made of oak.
In the old days, they would have used branches or something. A reasonable sized tree trunk would have functioned in a similar way. Most of the implements will have a prehistoric origin. There's always something to be done, even if it's just looking the stock. Because of Richard, we tend to try and get a day away, be it over to the lakes or to somewhere, be it Beamish or wherever. But apart from that, no, the last real holiday I had was my honeymoon.
Sandy man.
And also you feel that for old John's looked after the farm for many years. He's getting to the age where you don't want to leave him with too much work. I know he's quite capable of it and will be for a good few years yet. But you still feel it in the back of your mind that if something went wrong, I would be happier if I was at home.
The great thing is to have two good drilling horses as well. If you have one that's pulling away out in front of the other one, or pulling out or wobbling about, they say it's a poor man that blames his tools, but a poor horse for the job can make it a lot more difficult.
Today, for raising drills, you want two horses that go even, you know, for raising drills. And Sandy's just, for to be a young horse, he's just a bit lazy, and he's vexing Jock. Jock's 12-year-old, but he's a great little horse. He's a mettled horse, and he likes to be getting on with the job. But Sandy, he gets a bit vexed when Sandy holds him back. Most of the jobs are new for him because he's just new broken this spring. He's exceptional up till now, but I don't see any reason why he should change now.
If John and I didn't hit it off, it just wouldn't work, this place. It would have made life very, very difficult. Occasionally we fall out, but it tends to be a quick flare-up about something, and then it's forgotten about.
Back, whoa. Back.
It tends to be, we have different ideas as to how to do something. Normally something fairly small, but occasionally we sort of flare up, and we usually come to a compromise. Either one or other of us will give in, and seeing that the other way that's been suggested is the better way, or we come to a compromise halfway in between. Yes, things tend to go smoothly between us.
Our everyday harness, I'm afraid we just kind of patch it up ourselves. Saddling's very dear now. It really is. A good colour can be anything up to £200. Jobsons of Anik are the high-class saddlers, but oh dear me, things can be there for years before they get around to doing them. They have that much work on it. Hello, up and see.
Right over there.
They won't countenance patching. It has to be a good job right from the bottom. And so whenever I have anything that I want made a really good job of, it goes to Jobson's. This in here, of course, it's grand. It just wants covering and a bit fresh put on the bottom here, a bit fresh leather put around the bottom.
Cloth on it.
Just recovered.
Sort that out for you as well, got plenty of...
Grand. I see somebody else has a colour in there for you now.
We're talking about a week's work, 40 hours for that one. By the time you stretch it out, shape it, soak it, and stitch it on inside out and pull it round.
Aye, it's a big job, but never mind. Anybody can kind of patch harness, but colours is a job of its own.
Well, I learned off a master saddler who unfortunately retired now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a very good saddler. He'd show you step by step how to do it properly.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't do it properly, we made to take it out again and start again. Which is only the proper way to do it.
I mean, a lot of these colours of mine, they've been patched and patched and patched, you know.
I noticed that one with that one. There's 3 different colours on it.
Yes, there's been patched and patched. There comes a day when you cannot patch them any longer.
We've been here about 80 years now, in here, and I've been here 44 years. So it's an oral tradition, and our workshop here has never changed for 44 years. We've got old books from dating back to the 1890s, and all the measurements of the old harnesses in these books, and this is what we go off, and this is what John's going off.
Colours are a job on their own. I mean, you must have a colour right, else it skins the horse's shoulders, and it's a very skilled job, colour making.
Making a collar nowadays, make it properly in the top quality leather, it can last 50 to 60 years.
We go to try and produce good commercial rams. The Suffolks, well, we started away just in a very small way with them, and they just kept breeding up and breeding up. We generally keep about 10 to a dozen, but we have to do them pretty regularly. We call them worms, but they're really parasites which they pick up. Norman's been sowing soft turnips for the sheep. It's getting late enough, but it's still all right for soft turnips. If you put the soft turnips in too soon, well, they get mildew and go rotten and such like. But we are a bit late because this year has been very wet. We lost a full 3 weeks with the rain in June. And this land was just like porridge then.
Your speaking isn't a skill to it. All you've got to do is make sure that the turnip seed is coming out the holes at the back of the box. If the holes get blocked up with a bigger seed, so it'll not go through the hole, and you miss a gap, like that, or maybe it's further, it just means that you're short of turnips and not for feeding the sheep. It's quite easy. You've got the handles for the guide yourself a little bit. The biggest problem is keeping the horse in the drills. Sometimes he takes a wander now and again because he hasn't been used to the job before. Really enjoy it. I've always enjoyed the horses, ever since I could run after them.
one of the wettest, worst times I've ever known. It's rained all June and all July. I don't think I've ever been as late. Well, we haven't ever been as late at cutting grass as this year. And it's beginning to get dead in the bottom, and the rain and the winds flattened it down. It's just a one-way cut. Hay is the main thing. But, we're getting wandered away through slowly, but it's a good job we have beef cattle and not dairy cows. I doubt there wouldn't have been much milk in the hay this year. Not ours anyway, there wouldn't have been. Yes, you can fairly knock it down with two pair of horses. I know the tractor men would just laugh, but I've timed myself many a time. 3/4 of an acre an hour you can cut with a pair of horses, and not keeping it up all day for 8 or 10 hours. Back, yep.
We normally cut somewhere near 50 acre. But, so one of us will go out in the morning, maybe another in the afternoon, or sometimes we both are out in hay season so that we can get some grass cut.
Well, it's a funny thing, but it's true. Nearly all machinery has a weak part. And the reapers that we use, they're Albion oil bath reapers. They would be amongst the last ones that were made in about 1940. And their weak point is what we call the keep, for keeping the connecting rod. Some call it the con rod, we always call it the connecting rod. And then, of course, the sections on the knives, they wear out. And once they get to a point, they should be knocked off and fresh ones put on.
I've been 15 times, I think, across this field today, and because it's bad cutting, I'm changing the knife now. Sometimes you can go 15, 20 times around the whole field and the knife will still be sharp. It just varies with the grass and other conditions. The grass is very laid and rotten in the bottom with it being such a wet summer. So everything you can imagine is slowing us down. Right, I think I'm ready to go again. Got this other knife out the way. David, come in here. Come in. Eddie. Come on.
Oh, well, it won't do the machine any good because it's going to be more drag. Of course, when we're cutting one way and have the knife sharp, it's not too bad. It's surprising the hay hasn't spoiled as much as I expected, the quantity of rain we've had. But of course we make it the old-fashioned way. We cut it and we leave it till we think we're going to get it. It's when you keep turning it and throwing it about that it spoils it. If you can only have patience and leave it alone, it'll stand a lot of weather if you leave the swaths alone. But we've got through really better than I expected, because when I first looked at it I thought it would be terrible, but we've got in the right angle at it. We don't have too many stops. That's one thing against the horses. We can't handle the big bales, and the men that are able to wrap them in with the black polythene, they've scored this time. And of course the silage men as well, the pit silage. But as for hay, it's been utterly hopeless, and we neither have the equipment nor have we the buildings to handle these big bales, unless no doubt they've been a great boon this year, anybody that's been on with them. However, all being well, we just have half a day's work left for tomorrow, and that's the finish. Sandy's been walking all day, so he's reasonably tired. Well, when it was a wet afternoon, I thought it was a good time to start with him inside. And today is the first day I've put him in with the shafts. If they get terrified and frightened, there's no one man can hold them, and you have them for a long time after they're broken in, so you might as well take pains at the start and try and make a good job of them. I've done this, there's nobody ever told us about it, but I just thought it out for myself. Most of the horses are broken in. I fix these shafts up, just tie them up with a rope there and let them stand in the stall for 2 or 3 afternoons, and they get the feel of the shafts. It's not the same as being yoked in an implement, but at the same time they get used to the rattle and such like. Once they've got the feel of the shafts and the rattle, and they don't mind it, right, that's half the battle. Oh, what a grand lad. What a grand lad. What a grand lad. He was a little bit nervous the first time we put the breeching onto him, but nothing. He just tensed himself up. He didn't do anything bad. And now he's just, well, you can see, he's just, for to be the first time to have shafts on and rattle the boat, he's really marvellous. Maggie's been a tremendous help to me as a farmer. She doesn't do such a great lot of work outside now, but she used to at one time.
When we got married, John's father gave us a wedding present of 6 hens. That's how it started. Had them ever since. Well, just for family, really.
Aye, and then we had a son and a daughter, but unfortunately we lost Edwin when he was 14.
He just took ill one Saturday in August. It was cancer. Nearly at 6 months.
Well, he'd never held a thing in his life. He, not well apart from childish ailments, and he started to work with the horses. He was leading hay when he was 12-year-old, leading bales of hay and turning hay and that, and he could handle the horses just like a man. He was going to handle the show, and just over dinner he took sick, and he didn't go, and he never looked up, and unfortunately it was cancer.
He was 14 when he died. And he never once complained.
Just part of life we could do nothing about. Just had to get on with life. But no doubt it was a big blow, but Frances stepped in, and she was a great help.
She just seemed to take over, and she did what Edwin would have done.
Oh, Frances did practically everything. She was marvellous. She went with the horses and sowed turnips, and she used to cut grass. She turned it and raked the bare ground and laid hay with the bogies. And, yes, she did practically everything. In fact, sometimes she helped us to yoke a young horse when I was breaking it in. Oh, she was marvellous. She had all the cattle fed when I came back at night. But of course she has the house at Sutterby to look after now, and my mother's getting old and taking quite a bit of her time up.
General Dog's Body and Gopher. I've got a degree in it. It's just, small farms, it's just slavery really. Like everything gets bigger. It's for Mum's cousin and her husband, who have their golden wedding tomorrow. They were actually the first couple to get married at Langley Methodist Church as well. Yeah, I've done quite a few all told now. I'll put the ribbon round and then I see where we go from there. This is when you hope you purchased enough ribbon.
We have a variety of makes. I've kept buying hay turners at farm sales and places because the hay turners are used far more than they used to be. You see, they were only used to turn the hay, but now when we bale the hay, the turners have to row it up as well. There's 3, Massey Harris, I think, and there's a Scotch one, I've just forgot who made it. It's called a Dicky turner. They're a very bumpy thing there. By Jove, it hits every bump in the field. You cannot miss them.
Depending on the weather, it can be a pleasure or a frustration. You can only make hay when the sun's shining. And it's very frustrating to have a field that's nearly ready and it get rained on. But, we always get it in the end and normally get some very good quality hay for the horses.
The hay rake used to be reckoned to be a very dangerous implement, but I think some of these turners is just as dangerous. By Jove, I was told the same story till I was pig sick of hearing. My father told about a young woman once raking hay in the hayfield, and the horse bolted, went over a wasp's nest and bolted with her, and she fell off and she was trailed in the hay rake. I'm not sure she wasn't killed.
This is a 3-dimensional sketch. It's I call it a maquette. It's number 5 in a series that we're doing to do with haymaking, all done with horse work. We've been out and we found a local farmer, John Dodds, who still works with his horses and has been, shall I say, the best source of information we've got, because we can obviously go and see him, we can photograph every detail, and we can see how the whole thing works in the cycle of events, which is important for us because, so this is number 5, the hay mowing, the tumbling tam or the sweep of raking up, the swathe turnover drying out. We've been able to watch them actually happening, and that allows us to get all the detail that we need. There are a lot of people that will look at these pieces, I hope, when they're finished, and see that the work that's gone into them, and appreciate that, yes, we've captured the moment in time from reality. David, he's advising us and pointing out the differences. He's very good at pointing out what this does, what that does. He's also looking for things like, having the right wheels on the bogie, having the right harness and tack.
On occasions, yes, we've made comments. The wheel on the cart we felt was too small. But having said that, there are different designs of cart.
Trying to get the composition and the content and the shape. This is basically a rick which has been formed. This is towards the end of the hay making process. The rick has been made on the field, and now the farmer's been out and he's lifted it onto a bogie. He's taking it back in to either his hay loft, where he's going to put the hay up and store it for winter use, or he's going to take it and build a big hay stack, again, for overwinter use of feeding the stock.
I got plenty of land.
Yeah, it's all right.
He will be looking at, yes, the correct sort of feel to it. He doesn't want the horse to rush. His one comment we decided this is, he never get the horse's pace is important to do the job properly. Always looks slow, but the horses and the machine are geared as one to do the job properly, and he doesn't want the horse galloping to damage the crop. He wants it going at a steady pace, to work the machinery correctly to make sure the job is done properly. It will become obviously more defined with the detail in, but I'm trying to get the actual shape that he wants here. He will be more specific on how he sees it working properly. So far we've finished the first one totally, and it's painted, and that's worked really well and they really like it. And I think people can see from this that we are telling a really good story with it, and I think it's going to be a worthwhile thing for going back in time and capturing the sort of life of John Dodds.
Sandy, I've never known him when his docile is quiet, really. He's been going well in the mowing machine, and so the last stage he's put him into the shafts. I usually get some help, and there's one on either side of his head and one with the reins. But he's so docile and so quiet, I think David and me will manage for two selves. He's a strong lad, David. Put David on the reins, swanker man, but I cannot see Sandy making any plunge or anything. It's bound to be feel strange to them in shafts on either side. We've had them tied several times in the stable with shafts rigged up across his side. We're taking every precaution with them, but it's not a good time to yoke him really, because the clags and the flies are about. Some horses would have been upset, but he doesn't seem to care about a thing. He's so quiet. Come on, man. Wait a minute, David. Yeah. He's such a long-legged one, he kind of tripped over the shafts, but that's nothing. Look at his leg on now. Oh, well, if they find themselves enclosed in with the shafts and turn panic-stricken, they can start rearing and bucking and all things, but I never for a minute thought this one would do that. He's such a quiet-natured beast. I always say, it doesn't matter how quiet they are, if you do everything right, you cannot blame yourself if anything goes wrong. Some would have made when he tripped over the shafts there, some would have sprung forward and made a carry on, but there's no fear of him doing that. He's too lazy for that. I've said before, he's a real old man's horse. And then you see, I don't know, but it's an old horse breaker's trick. You see, we don't have the reins straight to the bit. We haven't tied back to the shafts. Well, it's going to be a very desperate horse that gets away when he's pulling both David and pulling the roller by the mouth. But you have to be very gentle on the reins when you have them tied that way, because there's a tremendous pressure on the mouth if you pull, and you pull the head right in, you see. The next time he's yoked, we'll take them off. It's rather like putting the dog's front leg through the collar if they're too keen. Some will run on 3 legs and some will just sit and not move. You couldn't wish for one better. You really couldn't. I've said many a time, he's hardly the type of horse I'll go in for. He's too long of the leg for one thing, but he'll cure of that as he gets older. He'll put weight on and there'll not be as much daylight underneath him. And he's not a good colour, but you forget all about them little bits of things when he goes his way, and he's been as quiet. the way the economic climate is now, there's not a great future for these family farms. I would to say the wheel always turns. I hope it does. But some people say that the cheapest ruined farms are because you work for nothing. I usually get some help, and I've always got a lot of loose labour in at night, chaps that finish at 5 o'clock or 4:30 to help with the hay.
Oh, I'm Ed Brown, and I'm actually a computer consultant specialising in publishing for mainly large corporations. And I'm here because I know the family and I enjoy coming here. It gives me a break from sitting in front of a computer screen all the time. I'd tell John that I'm available, and then when they need somebody, they'll phone up and I come down whenever I can. It's satisfying. You see something grow. A haystack appears in front of you. And it's just different from my own work, where at the end of a year's work, all you might have to show is a little floppy disk, and sometimes it seems pointless. It's something that many people won't see in their lifetime. It's a different way of life in many respects, and it's something that I actually enjoy doing. It's good to see it, and it's a more relaxed way of working, but equally, I think, as efficient. To see a team of people working out in the fields, bringing the hay in, putting it in the loft, and achieving something at the end of the day that you can look at with a smile of satisfaction is well worth it.
Do you want to take these horses home, lad?
Yeah, sure.
Keep a good hold on them now.
I will.
And don't get overexcited. Do the job properly. Come on, Farmer, Chuck.
Come on, you two.
No, aye, grandson. At the minute he says he's going to be a farmer, but we wouldn't push him one way or the other, because if they haven't got farming in them, well, they would never be happy and they wouldn't make a success of it. But at the minute he's full of being a farmer, so we'll encourage him and help him all we can. You needn't hang on that hard. That's the way. We have 8 acres of woodland where it's mainly just rubbish, and there's firewood forevermore as we get time to pull it. And David and Francis burn a lot of logs, and whenever we get time.
It's a wood that is past mature, and there's a lot of the trees falling. And rather than just let them rot away, I pull them out, saw them up into logs, and then burn them on the fire, the open fire. And also it's good for the horse in that it gets used to going in and under trees. It gives them the confidence to do so. We often do it with not a young horse, but a youngish horse, because it's all experience for them. Because you're guiding the horse, it's up to you to watch where the stumps are. It means being careful not to snag the log or logs you're pulling against a stump or something. A sudden jerk on the collar can, in a severe case, can injure the horse.
I mean, we are not really timber haulers, but you have to kind of yoke them on right and that. No, my wife's father, Maggie's father, he was a legendary woodwaggonman, him. I mean, in the days when he was going with the horses, they weren't just pulling thinnings out like they are today. It was really big stuff. great big oak and beech trees and that. And it was reckoned to be a very hard life for a horse that went into the woods. And yet he had horses that lasted till they were 16, 17-year-old. Partly because he was a very heavy feeder. And secondly, he knew how to fasten them on so that they weren't being abused. You see, some people going with horses, they just yoked them onto a train the way it went. But if they weren't yoked on right way, it made the lift away so much harder. But he was noted.
Put it down. Dick is getting what we call mud fever. And this is caused by the mud sticking to the hair and causing an irritation. And then the horses twist the neck round to bite at the feet.
Oh.
But of course they can take the hair and the skin off and set them on bleeding. So in muddy conditions, when we bring them in, we do sometimes wash them. Not always, but on occasions we will wash them to try and relieve this.
Oh, put it down again. Put it.
Clydesdale horses. They're noted for being quick-stepping horses, and they were developed in Lanarkshire on Clydeside, and they liked them to have plenty of action because they used to go into the streets. At least the Geldens did. They would do about 2 to 3 years' work on the farms, and when they were 5 and 6 year old, they would be sold either to go onto the streets or something in railways and breweries and such like. And they were noted to have this gay, free movement. Why, like all young things, they get excited up and they're just curious. Like, they know as grand as anything if they're causing havoc. By Jove, there's nothing worse than a horse if you're trying to get sheep or cattle through a gateway. It'll wait till you get them right to the gate and then gallop through the middle on them. And by the many thing get their blessings for that. We're in what we call the Fale. I believe it's on the Ordnance Survey map as the big allotment, but we always call it the Fale. There were 28 days from the cow being born to getting the tag in. But we have to get them within a few hours of being born, unless we're going to catch them. And it's for this BSE carry on. Well, I understand it's so that they can trace every beast back right to its mother, to its father, and back to the farm where it was born. Once they're on their feet, they're as wild as deer. And it's a dangerous job, really, out in an open field like this, because it's only natural the cows are going to defend the calves. And a cow with a young calf is as dangerous as a bull. More dangerous, in fact. And especially these continental cows, because they're fiery tempered to start with. And that one there was just on the borderline. It's a two-man job. One is to stand with a stick, and mind the stick will not turn them if they're determined.
Trying to hold on to the calf so I can get the tags in as quickly as possible, and keeping one eye on the cow and John, see what he's doing. Because if she starts to come for us, well, I rely on John to keep her away or give us a shout so I can get out the way.
But it's surprising what a calf can stand. They're a rubbery thing. I've sometimes seen us have a mother go mad there, and she'll be throwing the calf about on her head, and it never seems to take any harm. However, I suppose. But we don't seem to be getting the beef away into the continent anyway with all the rules and regulations. Hopefully we will in the future. I would like to see some of these officials that make the rules having a go at the job. That's what I would like. Sandy, he's just turned 3-year-old. He's really doing well. I mean, He's scuffling here and he's following the rows and he's never putting a foot wrong. And he comes in at the ends there just like an old horse. Scuffling, well, it's going up between the rows of turnips or mangels or potatoes and knocking the weeds out up the middle of the rows. He'll walk 8 or 10 hours a day now without any bother. He has a pretty good mouth. That's the great thing about breaking a young horse in, getting a tender mouth. And this is why it pays to take plenty of time when you're breaking them, because I mean you have to walk them for, well, at least 17 years, and if you made a bad job on them, they're a humbug for that length of time. Oh well, we'll keep him till he's done, like, or accident, which I hope not. But he's 3-year-old now. He lasts at least 20 without any bother. Rule of thumb is generally the bigger the horse, the shorter the life. Some of those little Shetland ponies will live till they're way over 30, but generally about 20 to 25 for a big horse. They will all be a lot older by then. But it's matterless how you mark them, because folks just buys what they fancy. Ah, the Suffolks, well, the thing you have to be careful about when you're rearing tups is to try and rear them so that they'll do well when they go to the next man. As long as they produce good lambs and wear well, that's last a few years, you'll keep getting the same men back again, hopefully. The tup job, it's some years you have a very good do, and other years, well, not so good. Maybe it's hardly worth the bother. But over the years we have built up a little bit of a trade. Generally the same buyers keep coming back, so they must be doing all right. But it's also nice to have a new buyer, and if it does right for him, it's always another buyer. Well, you see, they put the numbers into a hat and they pick a number out. We are paying 51 and the ballot's 52, so we are exactly last. Oh, it's still the fairest way to draw the ballot, like, but it has to happen one time. Mind, when they're a good trade, because people hang back, you know, and then they get panicky at the finish. But not this year. There's plenty of tups to pick from, and I doubt a lot of the buyers will be finished by then. If they belong to somebody else and I was going to buy them, I think 3 and 5. But what number 1? Everybody thinks number 1's the best sheep. But myself, I would have been tempted to buy 3 and 5 if I'd been buying belong to somebody else. It'll not be good. The trade today wouldn't be good anyway, because the sheep trade's right on rock bottom. But to be exactly last won't help me. And however, that's the look of farming, that. Come on here, get in. Everybody cannot be in the middle of the sale. Somebody has to be last. And unfortunately we've been drawn exactly last, which will have some effect, but oh, that's farming, that. The tub job has to be more or less a sideline. Some years you make a lot of money, and other years, well, you don't. I won't give them away, you know, I'll take them home, but there's no telling that the next sale will be any better. You see, the fat lamb, the bottom's dropped out the fat lamb trade. And so you cannot expect the breeding sheep even much, but
Well, I've been in lucky of the draw today. Some of our regular buyers, well, they couldn't wait till they finished, you know, and so, it could be anything. Just had to do the best I can. It's good and listen.
110, 110, 120, 130, 130, 130, 130, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 170, 170, 170, 80, 190, 90, 190, 200, is it?
It's nothing to go into raptures over. They're over £1,000 for 6 of them. Couldn't expect much else at the last in the ring. About half the price they were making last year. Oh well, it's not a good do, but it's not exactly a disaster for to be last in the ring. And there was one or two, there were too little money, but the regular buyers had waited for us, so you couldn't pass them out very well. Well, and I'd say it was worth it, but it's like farming, you had to keep going. Hope for a better day the next day. We have 8 acres of turnips, mangel, and just a few drills of potatoes for ourselves.
When they're wet, I'll tell you that much.
The Swedes and the mangels will pull for to feed the sheep of the spring. But we've just been digging a few up with the grape tonight for the Harvest Festival along at the chapel. And all the farmers give a little of something to help the chapel funds. There's very few farmers who don't support the Harvest Festival. I mean, it means so much to them, yeah. We've always been Methodist. Myself, my own feelings are, it doesn't matter what Christian faith you're in, we're all brothers. But we've always been a Methodist family. I think it's just the families that people are born into.
I would describe myself more as a Christian than purely as a Methodist, as I feel that all the churches are very similar. Because I was brought up originally at the Congregational Church, and then Church of England I went to, and now the Methodist.
We just grew up with them when we were bairns. Mother always did pickled onions.
Have you do it?
About September time, I like to do some for the Harvest Festival. That's generally the first ones. For making money, they're a good charity spinner. Always have been. Always like to keep a jar or two in the house. Mother always said to sit as near the fire as possible when you were peeling onions. And I find it works. Somebody once told us that when you're peeling onions, you used to hold a crust of bread in your mouth. Well, I said that didn't work because I had it eaten before I got the onion peeled. Couldn't hold a crust of bread. So I'm afraid I sit as near the fire as possible. I make all brands of chutney, anything that's going. There's one jar there that you call it winter salad. It's cabbage and different things. And there's tomato chutney and date and just anything. Francis has just been making some this week. Don't know what kind.
I was just wondering, David, should we take a few more turnips across, because people go for daft for turnips.
Well, they do, I know.
Well, it's the price on the shops, you know. They're sold by the pound to the shops.
Yes.
Like.
Into the bath.
And for the harvest of the autumn, for the fertility of the land, and for your bounty of sustaining providence. we enjoy all these untold blessings, and help us therefore to remember that they are not ours by right, but are your gift to us. For every good and perfect gift, Lord, for the fruits of the harvest and for your manifold blessings, we give thanks and all the praise and all the glory through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
The harvest sort of thing that you've seen tonight is very typical of what goes on in many of our small rural chapels. It's really an occasion for the smaller churches to support one another. The cycle of events and the pattern will be repeated in small villages all over this particular valley.
90 pence, £1, 1 bid, at £1, at 110, 110, 110, at 110, at 120, 120, 120, 120, 120 bid. 1, Jackson, 120. Now then, what have we got here? Basket of potatoes. You will get the basket, John. No, not the basket, mind. How much here? Pound again. 1 bid, at £1, 1 bid, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, at 160, 160 bid, at 170, 170, 180, 190, 190, 190 bid, at 190, 190. Jock Armstrong, 190.
I think the produce on display is indicative of the rural church. It tends to be more home produced, home cooked, home prepared. You go to a town church and there's a lot of tins and packets flying around, you know, baked beans and sardines. But the rural church, it's more a sort of offering of people's talents and gifts. They grow up with the food, as it were, and bring it. And in that sense, they celebrate the creativity of God in a kind of special and very simple way.
It's bean chutney. I don't know what it is now, but it's bean chutney. There we are. Pound again. 20, 30, 40, 40 bid, 40 bid.
Primarily it's a thanksgiving for the harvest.
At 40, 50, 50 bid, at 50, 50 pence. Mrs. Brown, 50p. And marmalade again.
We have a very good community spirit around here, especially around Langley, because if anybody's ill or has a problem, then there's always somebody around to help.
Pomegranate, 10 pence. 10 bid, 10, 20, 30. Oh, this is great. How many have you got? A few. Well, let's go good all bidding against each other because it will cost too much. Is that all?
Thank you. How long the chapels will be going, because they're getting harder and harder to... There's so few goes and they're getting harder to keep up. I think there'll be a change before long in some of them.
We're very short on the ground for younger families, younger children. The number, simply because the number of people who worked on the farms has decreased over the years, and the whole farm family that used to come and support no longer do that. But I think the rural churches have to look at their particular ministry and lifestyle. The people are still here. It's just there doesn't seem to be that commitment from the wider community to it.
I don't get to chapel as often as I would like, but outside of chapel, yes, Christianity does play a fair bit in my life. I feel that you need to believe in something, and that is the one thing I do believe in.
Swedes, well, we use them for the sheep at lambing time. When the sheep come next the place for lambing, we lead them a load or half a load out each morning. But that's all we grow the Swedes for. They're not that much work, really. Really speaking, for the way the conditions are, it hasn't made too bad a job to do. Well, I'd never seen a horse turnip puller before, but I'd heard a lot about them. And I was determined to get one. And we went away into Westmoreland where it was advertised at the farm sale. And I was determined to have it, but it wasn't really that bad. I think it was £120. It saved that in time the few years we've had it. Just going to see if we can alter this thing a bit. I'll just have it set rather deep. And it's just, you see, it's just leaving rather too much root on them. And just a bit too much soil. Not that it matters a lot, but there's no need to lead soil home.
See, suppose to cut the root off.
Mind, it's a pretty...
But it's, you know, it's awful wet, like, you know, the machine's sinking in now.
Do you think that's about where it wants to be now?
Sure,
Right, wait. Oh, man. Sometimes you can have a lot of bother altering the things and then you find it's no benefit. There's a hang of a difference between walking to the factory floor and walking out here now. I think that's about it. Come on, Bonnie, old lad. Sandy, jump! It doesn't make as tidy a job as doing them with the hand, but the work and the time it saves is tremendous. I guess you could pull 4 or 5 acres a day, but I mean, you don't want all those pulled at once. You just want pulled what you can lead off. The old men wouldn't dream of letting you fill them with a fork for the prick holes. But now I'm afraid we'll fill them with a fork and well, we found it doesn't do them very much damage. Not for the stock anyway. If you were selling them to the shops, well, naturally you wouldn't want a black mark on them. But
a lot of the implements we use are sort of 60 and 70 years old, and you just cannot buy replacements. You've got to go to farm sales and hope you can pick them up there and things like that. Our primary aim is to end up with a functional bogie, because you can't just go and buy one from the local joiner now. We try to maintain one, knowing that there's another one within a year or two, could well need a new top or something. So it's a rotational thing. We always try and keep making more of what we have.
we have shafts in some of the bogies and in some of the carts which have lasted a lifetime. Yeah. The only trouble is when they get too old, they can break pretty suddenly on like. But they'll last a long time if they're taken care of course.
We're lucky in that we have a sawmill nearby that will and can cut out shafts and such like. He has a working knowledge of horses himself. So he's very sympathetic to us. He'll look for the right bit of wood so there's no knots in the wrong place when he's making the shafts.
You don't make cart shafts out of Scotch pines or spruce. It has to be ash or larch or something. with timber that's much more strength about it. It's not so much the measurement as the shape. You know, some have got one bend, side bend, some have got two bends. There's all sorts of shapes and sizes. That's why you have to have a pattern to go for, work from. I used to work on a farm as well, you see, and I knew his father, and we've just kept in touch. Been friendly ever since.
See, you were a great strong fella. They reckon that all the farmer needed, you know, was strong at the back and thick of the head. Well, that's another pretty skilled job. It used to be a joiner and wheelwright's job, the shafts, but there's not many left now. And Martin seems to put himself through a lot of bother for us, and he must have a good man or two in the workshops, because whenever we want a shaft, they can shape them out. Exactly the same, you see, to fix into the bogie. You've got it? You see?
As it is now.
Exactly the same as it is now. But we want these shafts a little bit longer, they were just a bit short for the horses. From the end, 22 inches to here, to there, you see, because that's far too far back. I would first start coming here, let me think, almost 50 years ago. Yes, and I think there was only 1 year since that I missed being here. I wouldn't miss it. It's educational as well as a good day out. And you can always pick tips up and hear what's going on in different parts of the country with the horses. And meet a lot of friends, meet a lot of people I know, and get the crack and such like. You'll know as well as me why the breaking's important, but the next year's just as important.
It's hard work the next bit.
And Jack was your uncle, eh?
Yes, aye.
You know it? Oh, listen now. We've many a time had bad weather, you know, but never to gone on as long.
Have you seen Terry lately?
No, not since that night we were there.
Aye.
Oh, well, David always goes now, naturally. And Richard, if he's not at school.
It's a very friendly place. But we go up every year because we want to see what there is, how the trade is, and if we're acquiring a foal, the purpose of keeping the horses going, purchase a fresh foal for us to break in and later work.
Are you looking for us?
No, not today, but I was just saying to a chap, I said, if we offered the one for now, we couldn't take today. He said, I wouldn't like to trust you. But no, well, too many of the place, actually. But that's the kind of foal we look for.
It's only a bobby.
Aye, I can see that. That's the only thing that worries me. You see, I've always bought a little colt foal. There's demand for the good filly foals. The smaller colt foals, well, they're such a poor price. I'm just frightened that there's a lot of the breeders will just stop breeding. And I don't want to start breeding them. That would be too expensive for me anyway.
Welcome to 14 in your catalogues. The call 400 Saturday. We go on 300, 200. 200, 100 guineas to start made for the call here, 100 guineas, 100 for the start made.
I'm watching to see who's bidding at them. Oh, well, they'll be horsey men that I've got to know over the years. Yes. And well, I can picture what kind of a life most of them are going to have. Some will be going for show work, some will be going for breeding. And I know the difference of men. I know most of the men who are buying them. Terrible altogether. But I'm afraid around here, as I see it anyway, it's very depressing. There's not the interest. It's here to sell. Yeah, man, that's terrible. And when you see what price the little colt foals are making, there was another very good little colt foal just went for 80. Well, I mean, It was just insulting, really.
All the way from Lanarkshire. Society Princess is a big Clydesdale there. She's 6-year-old and she's expected in fall. Expected in fall and to the service details in the catalogue there.
Really speaking, there must still be a little bit hobby in the horses, because a good young filly's still making a big price. They went away with a hand with him on the horse.
340, 360, 360, 360 bid, 360 guineas, 360 bid, 360, 360, 380 bid, 380, that's the target, 380 guineas, 380 bid, 380, 380.
Well, a good Clydesdale, it's a pretty good criteria. No horse, no foot. You want to start and judge from the feet up over. They must have good sound feet. Not too long at the back, not too short either. A level back. Good sprung ribs, nice silky hair. Everybody has difference of opinion. The best memory I did has been this colt foal from the Isle of Man, and I'll think about it for a long time. But we couldn't do with the one. We have plenty at home, but we bought one off the same man last year for 300, and honestly speaking, today's was better at 160. But that's just the look of the game. Whenever you want anything, it's always a good price, and when you cannot do with anything, it's cheap.
180 guineas at 180 guineas. Thank you, sir. Straight in from there.
It was a hay bogie, and the top was rotten, and the wheels had gone west, so it was line wood, and it was a little bit too good to break up for firewood, so we thought we'd renovate it. Actually, this original bogie, my father, he would have been 100 this year, and he was a schoolboy when they bought it brand new. There was a chap called Robson, a Matfin, made it. And it had a new top on at the beginning of the last row. They'll be the original soles and the crossover spars. And of course the shaft, there was one of the shafts gone, so we got the shafts made new. Renovating these old things, it gets at you, you know. I like the job of renovating them. I left school when I was 14, and they wanted us to go to another school, no way. So my father had the idea of sending us to the joiners for a 12-month. You couldn't learn joinering in 12 months, but by Jove, it does a lot of good. It was a good idea. Apart from the joinery, it learned us how to walk. Learned you that you had to walk.
When we finish renovating them, we'll paint them. It doesn't last very long, because once we start using them, the edge gets knocked off them again. But, no, at the time, they look very smart, and you feel proud of it.
Plough and lay's the best job of the whole lot, as a rule, but this year has been exceptional altogether for wet. Plough and lay, well, lay of course is grass. This field's been done, we're reckoning up, it's been done for 15 years. And it's not a good tillage field, it's too heavy and wet. But there was getting quite a few ducks and nettles in it, so I thought we'd plough it out and get them killed. But Clark's is terrible. It's just a case of getting the field finished, I think. Well, some people wouldn't think so, but to any ploughman, plough and lay is a lovely job. Once you get the settings out made, if you get the settings out made straight, it's grand. After that, it's just up and down, and it's cutting lovely. And providing you have a pair of good horses, and luckily at the minute we have 3 very steady ones, Jock and these 2, Davy and Sandy. Sandy's exceptional altogether for to be a 3.5-year-old horse. He's going in the furrow there, marvellous. and as steady as a rock. Oh, well, he's almost finished breaking in. He's perfect in everything in the chains. And he's ploughing this heavy lay, he's ploughing marvellously. He's taking it so steady. I mean, some young horses would have been pulling keen and that. He's just going like an old one, just stepping away as steady as can be. Oh, he's a grand horse. Back. Oh. I wouldn't enjoy lying about doing nothing. Well, I would never do nothing. I would always find jobs to do. I mean, I'm retired on paper. Oh, I mean, I don't do anything near the work I used to do. Well, I cannot. That's all about it. But I'll do what I can as long as I can. As long as my health keeps good. As a son of the soil, the one that loved the land. I think that's what I would like to be thought of. David took to the land. Oh, by Jove, he's an all-rounder. I mean, it's rather strange. Most young chaps, well, not young chaps, but most chaps walked with the horses and then went to gradually turned over to the tractor.
Oh, it looks about right.
David walked with the tractors and then turned over to the horses.
At first I was helping put the bales onto the bogies and Sutterby, and then just got on bringing the horses home as well, and seemed to get on all right with them, and just continued from there. You learn by your own experience.
I'm delighted that David's taken to the horses, and apart from taking to the horses, I mean, he can handle them, he can manage them. I mean, he can take over the business or the work or anything.
I will certainly try and continue myself, and Francis will support me in that. Hopefully Richard will as a later years. As long as farming remains viable. I'll be reluctant to go back now to the tractors. I'm happy with the horses and feel that I'm gaining enough experience to carry on with them should something happen to John.
Well, the way expenses are now and the way farming is, he'll have to keep going with them. I mean, for all farming, he's in the doldrums just now. The machinery prices aren't.
Get down, Sandy, man.
Ah, well, there's some might think I'm not wise, and there's others told us they wish they could do it. Aye, there's one chap, and he's a very good farmer, a very modern farmer, and he has all the machinery and all the tackle. And he was saying one day, he said, I would love to do what you were doing. And then, of course, there's others say, why, to make no bones about it, they wouldn't be seen doing the driving the horse. It doesn't bother me in the least. Yeah, well, you would have to get a real Aladonian to give you the history of the bonfire. I have heard it said it goes back to pagan times. I suppose it'll be true. Everybody, for one night in the year, everybody's wishing everyone else a Happy New Year.
Personally, I don't know the real history of it. It's an enjoyable evening, but not one that we can do every year. About once every 8 or 10 years is often enough for us. We went up this time because we felt Richard was old enough to see the new year in style. And as it's a local custom, we thought this would be an excellent idea for him.
just see the new year in. They often say farmers is happy when they're complaining, but they're great. I think it's as true to say they're great optimists. Prices might rise and surely the weather will be better. Aye, well, Rob and the young horse is coming home today, and we'll get a start and break it, and hopefully it's as good as and as quiet as the last one, Sandy, that we broke in. And as I say, we'll get a start with him now, and hopefully have him broken in for the spring to do a bit of chain work and then into the shafts. Just a grand size for farm work. He'll be a grand mate for Jock and Dick. I mean, I've always wanted to walk with horses. I mean, it's both work and pleasure, walking with them. And to start with a young horse in the raw and break it in and school it. And from the day you bring it in the rough to the first day you go off with it in the shafts, it's a tremendous sensible, well, what should I say? You've accomplished something. I always say the land is more important than the people. I mean, people, they're just here for a time, but the land's here forever. And I always say no one has the right to misuse the land. And this is what I say about the horses. If I thought the land was taking harm through sticking with the horses, I would change straight away. But the only way that the land could take any harm was by not getting the jobs done in season. As long as we can get the jobs done in season with the horses, well, there's no way that the land can take any harm through walking with the horses. But for myself, if I had life to live over again, I would still walk with the horses. It's just something that, as I say, it's just something that's bred in. It's just the way I'm made, I think.